We can do this, right? Ooh, it's been a minute. What's up, y'all? It's your girl Lolo for Get Fit, right? Get lit. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Get lit with Lolo. Something new I'm trying. Let's see. Let's see if it sticks. If it doesn't, I'll move on. But today it's Get Lit with Lolo. And now we are going to talk about why you ain't receiving no results, why you ain't getting no results, right? Maybe you have been on your fitness journey for a while, maybe you haven't, maybe you're just trying, to figure it out just now. um but you might be in a place where you're just like, okay, I don't even know what I'm doing, or I've been doing this thing and this thing is not working. So whatever that might be, we all have our challenges, right? um the cool thing is that you're not alone, right? I deal with it. I'm sure that people that you know are dealing with the same things. It's inevitable, right? Why? Because our bodies are just so freaking complex. They just are, right? But the one thing I do know is changing the way that you think is helpful. So my hope today is just to give you something. I don't know what it might be that I say. Hopefully that something that I say is helpful and beneficial to you. And you'll see that, you know what? Maybe I was just thinking about this thing, too abstractly. Maybe I need to really focus and hone in exactly what it is I'm trying to do. So I am a certified nutritionist, personal trainer, online coach, yada, yada, right? Am I perfect? Absolutely not. I don't know everything. There's no way to know everything, but I know what I know based on my own experiences as well as the experiences of those that I coach. Okay. So I take all that information, I do some extra research, I, get some, other perspectives and things like that. I like to also keep my ear to the ground. So I like to hear what other people are saying, and asking questions that they're asking. And the number one question is, how can I lose weight fast? No, we don't want to lose weight fast, right? Because if we lose weight fast, that just means that our body has gone through some type of a shock, and it's drastic and dynamic enough to shift your weight, right? Which shouldn't be the only thing that we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on our health in general, all the way around, holistically. I could go out here and buy me a cleanse tomorrow. Will I drop me some weight? Absolutely. Will it be effective? Would it be a good thing for me? Maybe not, right? Your body shouldn't lose too much weight too soon. So that's not always healthy. And the lashback is you could put yourself in a place where you're just going to gain back what you lost and more. So why really take the quick route? Is it really the most effective? Anything worth having is worth working for the right way. And so really quick. So I decided that every Saturday at 10:45 a.m. Central Standard Time that I would jump on with you, and I would just kind of talk through a couple of points, share some experiences, share, it could be stories, it could be just straight up knowledge, scientific evidence and facts and things like that. But every Saturday, that's my goal. Now, if we get to a place where it's really, really valuable and it's hard to pack everything into just a few minutes of a discussion, then I'll consider expanding that. But let's just start here. I think starting small is good for me because I'm not exactly the most confident on camera, even though it might seem that way or not to you. But I'm working on it. Let's just say that, okay? Working on it, working on my delivery and all of that. But the only way I'm going to do it is to do it, right? I just have to jump on. So, three things that could potentially, excuse me, be limiting you when it comes to you achieving your goals or preventing you from dropping weight. And I always hate to say lose weight because guess what? Who wants to find the weight that they lost? I'm not trying to find it, okay? If it's lost, I don't want it back. Okay. So it's not really for me, it's not losing it, it is dropping weight. So one of those things is food quality. I can't say this enough. If you continue to eat refined foods, sugars, fried foods, anything in that category, anything of the like, chances are you will not drop weight. And if you do drop weight, you might be dropping muscle along with that weight. Um, because it sounds like there's no balance. There's something is amiss. Okay. And so you want to get to a place where you can have those things on occasion, but if fried foods, refined sugars, refined anything, manufactured products, packaged products makes up the majority of the meals that you consume, well then guess what? You probably won't remain healthy. You'll start to decline in some way. I'm not telling you this to talk at you, preach it to myself, right? Because guess what? I indulge every now and then too, but that does not make up a majority of what I consume. I'm not eating out all the time. I try to make everything that I eat from scratch, possibly. Sometimes it's like something packaged. Like I don't necessarily consider frozen vegetables packaged because they're not manipulated by man other than being frozen. But just keep it in context here. You know what you be eating. We know what we be eating, right? So be real with yourself. It's like it's not difficult to just say, you know what, I don't think that I eat the best. Yeah, I think I know exactly what Lolo's talking about. I know which foods those are. So food quality is number one, and I put that at the top of the list. You want your foods to be as whole as possible, meaning they've come from the ground. It's vegetation, as natural as possible. I'm a meat eater, so I try to stay as lean with my meat and as clean or organic as possible because the way that animals are raised, it matters. All of that matters, right? So making sure that you're getting what you can. Now, I get it. In the Black and brown community, we can't afford all of these organic and this and that. Do the best you can, baby. Do the best that you absolutely can, right? And work with what you have. But guess what? It doesn't really cost that much for a bag of apples, a bag of pears, a bag of bell peppers, we make some excuses that are like, come on now, be real, right? So that's one thing. Then the other is food volume, right? Something guilty. I had to be a little hard on myself when it came to how much of everything that I was eating. So you're talking about you're going to get the toast, you're going to butter it, you're going to put some jelly on it, you're going to listen, those things add up. And if you're a person who always has to have heavily seasoned food, heavily high salted foods, yeah, that's eventually going to catch up with you. But in addition to that, how much of it are we eating? Right? Food volume matters. I dare you today to start paying attention to how much food you actually put on your plate and making a conscious effort to either weigh it or maybe scoop it from, use a measuring cup to scoop it and just actually challenge yourself to think differently about how much you're actually eating. Serving sizes matter. I let my clients know when you choose your whatever lean protein that you're eating, palm size, right? It should fit about in the palm of your hand if you're a female. If you're a male, 2 palm sizes, right? Because you need more protein, right? Thumb size for butter, about this size. It's like 2 tablespoons of butter, a serving size, right? So, or even your fats. A lot of us eat a lot of avocado. I eat a lot of avocado, but it fits my macros. It fits what my goals and things like that. I could be doing much better on my protein, but I don't know. I have an issue with eating a lot of protein, just digestively. So that's a whole nother topic, right? But ultimately, if we're real with ourselves and we say, you know what, maybe I do eat too much. Think about it this way too. Maybe you eat too often, because we can eat too often. If we're always hungry, that's an indicator, right? That's a red flag. If you're always hungry, something's not right. An imbalance, and you have to acknowledge that for what it is. An imbalance is telling you that you need to think differently about what it is that you're feeding yourself and when and how much, but also going back to the drawing board and maybe figuring out what the root cause might be. Okay. Stress can cause you to overeat and overconsume food. um, Depending on how you eat, like if you sit down to eat and you just scarf it down, okay, and then you're like, wait a minute, I'm still hungry. You did not give your hunger hormones time enough to respond to what you just did. So, yeah, you're going to overeat. You're totally going to overeat because your signals are off. We have hormone signals for a reason, okay? Leptin is your leptin hormone is going to tell you when you start to get hungry, and you should give in to that. Whenever you feel hungry, you should eat then. And when you're eating, be mindful. Like, pay attention to your food. Just eat. Don't eat in front of the TV. I'm notorious for that, right? So I tell my clients, don't eat in front of the TV. Try to just separate yourself and just focus on what you're eating. Eat intuitively, okay? Recognize when you're no longer hungry. The minute that you stop being hungry is the point when you start eating. When you take those first couple of bites, you're no longer hungry. Psychologically, you are no longer hungry. Well, I say that wrong. Psychologically, you're hungry, but biologically, you're no longer hungry because you've already put that food in your mouth. You started the digestion process. You're not really hungry, but we feel obligated to just eat everything that's in front of us, and that comes from a long history of just life, right? So many of us that's the lifestyle that we lived because our parents told us you don't move until you eat all that food on your plate. Yeah, got a lot of reconditioning to do, right? But food volume, okay? Food volume, eating too much way too often. Eating regular meals when you should, when you are hungry. Sometimes depending on your goals, you may need to actually almost force yourself to eat on time, even if you're not as hungry, just because some of those signals could be off. But there's a lot of variability there, and I'm not going to go on a tangent with that. To each his own. If you like to eat 6 meals a day, 3 meals a day, 1 meal a day, it's to each his own. Everyone's different. There's no one way to do anything. So you won't ever hear me say you should be doing this because everybody should be doing that. No, that doesn't work. That's not even logical, to be honest. So other than that, poor gut health. Okay, that's the third one. Poor gut health. Um, and that's due to lack of food diversity. So if you're notorious for eating the same things all the time, yeah, food diversity is probably an issue for you. So when it comes to food diversity, what I mean is, if you only ever eat bell peppers and asparagus, it's great, right? These things are good, and chicken or fish, right? And your complex carbohydrate is always potatoes or rice. There's no diversity there. If you're constantly eating those same things, your gut doesn't benefit from all of the different varieties of foods with multiple phytonutrients available in those foods. Foods that, like with your vegetables, different colors of vegetables, they have different nutrients in them depending on how light or dark they are. And it's the darker the purples and the reds, the darker vegetables and things like that, those have significantly more nutrients, believe it or not, than anything that's light or pale colored. So depending on how much of those types of foods that you eat, you're limiting your gut diversity, the diversity of the healthy, what am I trying to say? The good, as far as feeding the good and the bad bacteria in your gut. When you have a lack of diversity, you don't get to feed the good bacteria. So they're just over here like, oh, okay, okay. So we're not gonna get none today. You're just gonna keep feeding this bad bacteria. Okay. Imbalance, right? And so that's what happens. We sometimes do this not knowing, right? We don't know that these things are even a part of the equation, but they are. So I would advise shuffling that up. Go into the store. I used to go to the store back when I was, just trying to get into my nutrition, and I would go and I would pick up different things, different types of vegetables, like a rutabaga. I remember I got a rutabaga, right? And I boiled it, and it tastes like a potato. It's a cross between a potato and a turnip, and it was with some butter and some salt. It was bomb. I was like, wow, this is so good. But you don't know unless you put yourself in a position where you're starting to, entertain the idea of different types of vegetables. That's how diversity starts. But you have to make an effort. You have to put yourself out there. It's not just going to happen. So that one is huge. Your gut, in order for it to function the way that it should, and a majority of Americans in our Western society, we suffer from leaky gut, which is kind of like a small fissure in your digestive tract. And it's leaking out toxins. So when when your body starts to break down food in your intestines, it starts to distribute some of those toxins, and they should be going to your liver to be filtered out, right? So that it can take out all the bad stuff, and that way your body is getting all the good stuff. Well, guess what? When you have leaky gut syndrome, what's happened? Oh, okay. When you have leaky gut syndrome, they're seeping out. Those toxins can seep out into your bloodstream. And what happens is your body starts to get inflamed. Okay. And these things aren't good. Whenever your body is inflamed, that means you're not in a great place. You're not healthy. And inflammation is an indication that something is wrong. It's your body protecting itself from you, from us, literally protecting itself, saying, whoa, 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 something ain't right. Let me puff up. You remember those puffer fishes? Like there's a fish that if you go up too close to the fish bowl, it'll just expand. It's pretty much the same thing, right? It's pretty much the same thing. And so, all in all, let's see what time we're okay. We're at good time, but those are the three main reasons I wanted to share with you. So, food quality, right? Making sure that you have the absolute best that you can afford, number one, because everybody is different, right? But the best quality food that you can possibly get, food volume, so paying attention to how much food you're eating in one sitting, as well as how often throughout the day. Because some of us, let's be honest, we eat just too often, way too much. And poor gut health or lack of food diversity. Those are three things. And then a bonus, right? A little bonus measure is paying too close attention to that scale, right? The scale is not an indication on what's going on biologically inside of our bodies. So we need to nix that thought. That will mess you up mentally and make you think, oh, everything that I'm doing is just, it's failing. I'm doing it for nothing. Or you're working out, and you're like, man, I eat good, but I just still I can't move the scale. So something that I talk about a lot, and I'll probably come back and talk to you guys about it as well on a later date or maybe next Saturday. But is the fact that there is something called, oh God, now I just lost it. I just literally lost it. Body fat recomposition, right? So with body fat recomposition, it's the process of actually building muscle and losing fat at the same time. And if you just think about that logically, if you are losing fat and building muscle, you're not going to see a shift on the scale because it's a conversion 1-to-1. Lose a pound, gain a pound. Lose a pound of fat, gain a pound of fat. So where are you looking for the scale to shift? Typically, it will not. Now, you could go the route of Okay, well, I'm not going to build any muscle. I'm just going to drop weight. Okay, that's a choice and it's yours. But if you're just going to drop weight, then yeah, you'll probably see some shift in the scale because guess what? You're probably going to lose muscle too. You're losing muscle and you're losing fat and water. And I mean, listen, this is not just clean cut black and white. There's so many things that go into it that matter, and it's not just one way. Oh, well, I need to stop eating as much as I do so I can drop weight. It's not that simple. It's just not that simple. Okay, so let's think a little bit differently and stop focusing so much on the scale because it does not tell the full story. It does not. And that's why we should not be using that as a measurement on its own. My recommendation is weigh yourself, but weigh yourself maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, hell, maybe even a month. If you're somebody who just can't get past the fact that you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, but the scale won't move, stay away from that scale for about a month. And then let's see, come back and just, use it as a baseline and say, okay, let me figure this out. Let me figure this out. Last tip that I have for you is to use 1 week. Like, let's say that you're in this place of true challenge and you just cannot figure out how to start moving the needle on progress. Let's not even say the scale, moving the needle on progress. Okay. I would recommend that you use one of those calculators like MyFitnessPal, right? And take the week and figure out how many calories you're supposed to be eating. There is actually a calculator out there as well, and maybe I'll put it in the notes, but there's a calculator that you can determine what your energy expenditure should be, or how many calories you should be eating, and how many calories the TDEE, how many calories you actually expend or burn without food, right? Figuring that out and then tracking your food intake for a week can give you a baseline. I don't recommend always using that because I think it's on a mental, psychological level. It challenges the mindset in a negative capacity, my opinion. But to each his own. You do you, boo. You do you. But I wouldn't recommend always tracking. If you choose to use it, like maybe just a few weeks, and then you're like, okay, let me intuitively figure out how to stay within those boundaries. But I say, just in order for you to have that control that you really need in order to maintain your weight and your health, I don't recommend it. But you can use that just as a baseline and say, okay, I can see I probably am eating too much of this and not enough of that. You want that macronutrient balance. Maybe next week we'll talk about macronutrient balance because macronutrient balance is also a huge factor as well. I guess I had more than 3. I started off with 3 and ended up with like 5 or 6. But anyway, macronutrient balance, making sure that you have healthy protein, complex carbohydrates, healthy fat, but I always include the 4th one. I don't hear a lot of fitness professionals or nutritionists talk about the 4th one, which is significantly important, and that is fiber. You need fiber, okay? The cool thing is that a majority of our vegetables and fruits have a significant amount of fiber, some of our grains. So it's very easy to get it in if you're mindful about where it's contained. Okay. So let that be something that kind of just jogs your mind and makes you think, oh, okay, it's not as difficult as I think, because honestly, it really isn't. Keeping your food quality, keeping whole base foods in your pantries and in your refrigerator and freezer, making sure you're not eating too much, too often, and then changing it up, getting some food diversity. We want our workplace to be diverse, but we don't want our kitchens to be diverse. I challenge that thought. So hi to everybody in my comments, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to keep it short because I feel like people will respond to short, succinct messages and not when I ramble, because I can ramble and I don't even like rambling. I fast forward through rambling. So I don't want to make this too long, but guess what, guys? I did it. I showed up for myself today, and hopefully you got value out of that. I enjoyed it. Next time we'll have maybe some, a Q&A time. Let's build this up. If you liked this, like this, share it, subscribe, encourage other people to subscribe. I want to build this thing because it's not just something that I want to do every now and then. I want to build this platform because I feel like everything that I do, it can be extremely valuable depending on who's watching it or consuming it. And I was able to change my life from being severely diabetic to now being the healthiest I've ever been in my entire life. Um, and some things have changed there that I'd like to eventually share at some point, but sharing is caring. So if you share this, that means that you care and you want to extend the reach that I maybe have made to you, to other people, and you're not just going to be selfish with it and keep it all for yourself. Okay. So much more to come. This is just kind of a springboard to what's to come. Oh my God, it's 11:11. Angels are watching me. That's my number. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up in a bow. Thank y'all so much for joining me. Love and kisses, lovey. So much more to come. Y'all have a great Saturday.